The quantum entanglement communicator crackled with static as Kivan adjusted the frequency modulator for the third time that hour. Outside the observation dome of Research Station, the gas giant's ammonia clouds swirled in hypnotic patterns, backlit by the system's binary stars. He'd been alone for 6 months, collecting atmospheric data and running linguistic algorithms on the electromagnetic signals that pulsed from the planet's core. Jennifer would have loved this, he thought, fingers dancing across the holographic interface. His former colleague at the Xenolinguistics Institute had always theorized that non-carbon-based life forms might communicate through quantum fluctuations rather than sound waves. She'd been ridiculed, her tenure denied, her research buried. Now, half a galaxy away, Kivan was beginning to suspect she'd been right all along. The signal pattern shifted again. This time, it wasn't random. Kivan's breath caught as the computer translated the quantum pulses into visual representations, mathematical sequences, prime numbers, the universal language of intelligence. His hands trembled as he initiated the response protocol Jennifer had designed years ago, the one the Institute had called pseudoscientific fantasy. He transmitted a simple Fibonacci sequence, encoded in quantum states. The response was immediate and overwhelming. The entire station shuddered as something massive materialized in the space between the observation dome and the gas giant. Kivan stumbled backward, his coffee mug shattering on the deck plates. Through the transparent aluminum viewport and structure of impossible geometry hung in the vacuum, crystalline lattices that seemed to exist in more than 3 dimensions, pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that hurt to perceive directly. Computer analysis, Kivan whispered. Unknown vessel. Composition defies standard material classification. Energy signature indicates quantum state superposition across multiple spatial dimensions. Recommendation: maintain current position and await. The AI's voice cut off as a beam of coherent light lanced from the vessel and enveloped the station. Kivan felt his consciousness expanding, fragmenting, being pulled apart and reassembled at the quantum level. Then, impossibly, he was standing in a chamber that couldn't exist within the station's known dimensions. She stood before him, if stood was the right word for a being that seemed to phase between solid matter and pure energy. The alien queen was vast and terrible and beautiful, her form suggesting a blend of insectoid geometry and something utterly unknowable. Crystalline structures that might have been wings or sensory organs or weapons extended from her torso, refracting the strange light that emanated from the chamber's walls. Fascinating. The voice resonated directly in Kivan's mind, bypassing his ears entirely. You exist in the localized temporal stream, yet transmit in the quantum substrate. This is unexpected. Kivan's linguistic training kicked in despite his terror. The patterns of thought, the conceptual frameworks, they matched Jennifer's theoretical models almost perfectly. He focused, drawing on years of study, and attempted to formulate a response using the same quantum-coherent thought patterns. I am Kivan. I come seeking understanding. The Queen's form rippled, colors cascading across her crystalline surface in a sequence that Kivan's enhanced pattern recognition identified as surprise, or its alien equivalent. Are you speaking the language of legends? Her thought voice carried undertones of something that might have been awe, the quantum tongue of the progenitors. Kivan's mind raced. Progenitors? Jennifer had never mentioned anything about ancient civilizations. But then again, her research had been theoretical, built on mathematical models and archaeological linguistic evidence from dead worlds across the Orion Arm. I speak imperfectly, he admitted, struggling to maintain the quantum-coherent thought patterns. My species has only recently theorized this mode of communication. A colleague, a friend. She discovered fragments in ancient ruins. We thought them merely mathematical curiosities. The Queen moved closer, and Kivan felt reality bend around her presence. The progenitors seeded 1,000 galaxies before your star was born. They encoded their knowledge in quantum substrate patterns, believing that only civilizations advanced enough to perceive quantum reality deserved to inherit their legacy. Her crystalline appendages extended, and Kievan felt his consciousness touched by something vast and ancient. Suddenly, he was experiencing memories that weren't his own, images of civilizations that had risen and fallen across billions of years, all connected by this fundamental language that existed beneath the fabric of spacetime itself. Your species, the Queen continued, should not possess even fragments of this knowledge. You are young, primitive in your understanding of multidimensional physics. Yet here you stand, forming crude but recognizable phrases in the tongue that binds the ascended races. The ruins on Kepler 186f, Kievan thought, the revelation crystallizing in his mind. Jennifer excavated them 7 years ago. Symbols that seemed to shift when observed, equations that resolved differently depending on the observer's quantum state. She was right. She was right about everything. Your friend, the Queen's thought patterns carried a complex emotion Kievan couldn't quite parse. She has unlocked something that will change your species' trajectory. But knowledge without wisdom is a weapon that destroys its wielder. The chamber shifted, and Kievan found himself viewing the gas giant below from an impossible angle. Layers of reality peeled away, revealing structures within the planet's core, vast computational arrays, quantum processors that had been running for eons, processing and storing information in ways that made human technology look like cave paintings. This system, the Queen explained, is a library. One of 7,000 the progenitors left scattered across the universe. My people have been custodians here for 12 million of your years. We preserve, we protect, and we test those who come seeking the knowledge within. A test. Kievan felt his heart racing, a very human response to a decidedly post-human situation. Your crude transmission in the quantum tongue triggered our protocols. Had you been unprepared, had you lacked the fundamental understanding that allows consciousness to survive quantum state translation, you would have simply ceased. Your particles would have dispersed across probability space. Kievan thought of Jennifer, alone and disgraced on Earth, her life's work dismissed as fantasy. She'd sent him here knowing the signals existed, hoping he'd find evidence to vindicate her research. She couldn't have known she'd sent him to stumble into a cosmic library guarded by beings that existed partially outside conventional spacetime. If I pass your test, he ventured, what then? The Queen's form pulsed with colors that suggested satisfaction. You have already passed, young one, by surviving contact and demonstrating rudimentary comprehension. The question now is whether your species is ready for what comes next. The quantum tongue is not merely communication. It is a technology, a philosophy, a doorway to realities your kind has barely dreamed of. She extended a crystalline appendage, and Kievan felt something transfer into his consciousness. Vast databases of information, encoded in quantum patterns that his enhanced neural structure could barely contain. Historical records of the progenitors. Scientific principles that made human physics look like kindergarten arithmetic. Cultural exchanges between species separated by millions of light years but connected through the quantum tongue. Return to your people, the Queen instructed. Share what you can, teach what they're able to comprehend. Your friend's discovery has opened a door that cannot be closed. In time, perhaps a century or perhaps a millennium, your species will either join the community of ascended races or destroy yourselves trying to wield knowledge you don't yet understand. How do I? Kievan began. Tell Jennifer we will be watching. Tell her the guardians of acknowledge her as first speaker for humanity. And tell her this, the quantum tongue is not learned, it is remembered. Somewhere in your species' genetic past, one of you encountered the progenitors. The knowledge sleeps in your DNA, waiting to be awakened. The chamber dissolved. Kievan found himself back in the observation dome, his coffee mug whole and steaming on the console, the alien vessel gone as if it had never existed. But the knowledge remained, burning in his neurons, a gift and a burden that would change everything. He activated the long-range communicator, encoding a message for Earth, for Jennifer, for the scientific community that had dismissed her. "This is Research Station Kepler 442, he said, his voice steady despite the cosmic weight of what he'd experienced. "I have made contact. Prepare for first contact protocols. And get me Jennifer Harris from the Xenolinguistics Institute. Tell her she was right. Tell her everything is about to change." As the binary stars set beyond the gas giant's horizon, Kievan began transcribing the quantum knowledge the Queen had gifted him, knowing that humanity's true journey into the cosmos was only just beginning.